Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for being here Tuesday, March 11th. Good afternoon to all of you. Right now, we're going to take a look at the Jaguars' top remaining needs following the flurry of free agency moves they made on Monday. And this is all moves that have been agreed to. They haven't been officially signed. The deals will not be official until the new league year. Wednesday, 4 p.m. is when teams can actually start signing these players officially. These are basically deals that have been agreed to. The terms have been agreed to with 9 new free agents. And I think the Jaguars' new regime, James Gladstone, Liam Cohen, Tony Baselli, kind of viewed this roster as a roster that did have a lot of stars, a lot of talent, top-end type of guys. When you look at Trevor Lawrence, you look at Brian Thomas Jr., you look at Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Tyson Campbell, Foye Oluokun. These are leaders. These are top of the roster type of guys. I think they also viewed the running back room as pretty strong and the tackle, offensive tackle group pretty strong. You look at the interior defensive line. I think you make arguments that they've got a good group there with Mason Smith, with Eric Armstead, obviously, and Devon Hamilton and some young guys. So I think they wanted to fill in some certain spots, right? They wanted to fill in several starting spots, but for the short term, and really build the future of the team exactly the way they said they were going to with the draft. They wanted to get some stopgap options and some depth, right? They added 2 tight ends that can come in and be blocking tight ends for them. Britton Strange can be their number 1 tight end. Hunter Long and Johnny Munt are both really good blocking tight ends that can have some functionality beyond just blocking. Robert Hainsey, starting center, played under Liam Cohen in Tampa. Obviously, he got replaced last year by Graham Barton in the starting lineup, but Robert Hainsey is a guy who has experience starting in this league. Patrick McCarry comes over from the Ravens. He has started everywhere. De'Ami Brown, not a starter in Washington, but I think he projects to be the Jaguars' wide receiver 3 in 2025, and he's only on a 1-year deal. You look at the secondary. I think Eric Murray projects to be the Jaguars' starting strong safety as of right now. Jordan Lewis, I think, whether it's him or Jarian Jones on the outside, Jordan Lewis is a starter either at nickel or outside corner. So the Jaguars brought in 5 starters, several role players, Chuma Edoga, backup tackle, Johnny Munt, Hunter Long, backup tight ends, Nick Mullins, backup quarterback. So they wanted to fill out some of the roster in terms of starters. They wanted to fill out some of the depth, but they didn't want to commit any money long term, it looks like. And they didn't want to really try to add star talent through free agency, at least not yet. That's not what they've done yet. They added guys that can be around for a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years at the very most, and get them through this transitionary period where they're going to be adding a lot of talent that they believe in through the draft over the next couple of years with the 21 draft picks that they have, right? So we're going to look at these roster needs that still remain, in my estimation, for the current Jacksonville Jaguars roster, and then some needs down the line a little bit for the future. So I think you can look at wide receiver 2 as still a glaring need. Yes, you do have Gabe Davis on the roster. No, I don't think the Jaguars view him as a wide receiver 2 in this league. I also don't think that De'Ami Brown is a wide receiver 2 for the Jaguars. I think that 1 year, $10 million is a prove-it deal to be there kind of, either get it, 3-point shots basically, or layups, and that's deep shots and screen passes, right? I think that's what De'Ami Brown does really well. I think that's what they're going to try to bring into this offense with his skill set. And I do think right now he would be their wide receiver 2. I think in 3 wide receiver sets, he would often be aligned outside, but I think the Jaguars still have a big need for a wide receiver 2 to pair with Brian Thomas Jr. and probably be the second featured passing game target, whether that's Cooper Kupp, whether that's another veteran, whether that's someone they bring in the draft. I think the Jaguars are going to have another big investment at the receiver position, whether that's draft capital or in free agency. Cooper Kupp is probably going to be released, it looks like, because I don't think anybody's going to be trading for him by the Los Angeles Rams. So wide receiver 2 is up there on the list for me, top of the list, really. I think that's the biggest need right now. I think that safety 1 is a big need at this point. You look at Eric Murray, obviously, in the building, and I think the Jaguars view him as a starter. Do they view Darnell Savage as a starter? I don't at this point, and I don't view Andrew Wingard or Daniel Thomas or Antonio Johnson as a starter. I think that they need a high-quality safety. Where does that come from? Justin Reed's still available, I believe. I think that would classify as a high-quality safety. You can also find safeties in the draft. I think if they want to go day 2 and get them a safety, or maybe even early day 3, I think that they can potentially find a quality starting safety. But they definitely need a starter there, in my opinion. IDL 1. I think that long-term Mason Smith projects as a nice starter. I don't know that you want him to be the benchmark guy, the top guy in your room. I also think, Eric Armstead's there, but I don't think that he'll be on the roster beyond the 2025 campaign. And I think you look at the way the Jaguars have handled this offseason so far, and it points towards Mason Graham at 5 overall. If not Mason Graham at 5 overall, certainly going interior defensive line very early in the draft and trying to find a foundational piece there. I think they also need edge 3. They have, obviously, Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker. They don't have much beyond that on the roster that can get you very excited. You have Yasir Abdullah still. You have Miles Cole. I don't think either of those players is really going to factor much into the Jaguars' plans moving forward at the position. So I think that edge 3, and there's a lot of edge players available via free agency that won't come at a super high price tag. So they could do it there. They could also do it in the draft. They could do both. But I think they need some edge depth. You look at interior offensive line. I do think that they got their starters, probably day 1 starters. Certainly, I think Patrick McCarry at $13.5 million per year, they're viewing as a starter at right guard. But the reason I put interior offensive line is because I think McCarry could start at center too. So you just need to upgrade, I think. Like, you have one good starter there in Patrick McCarry. I think Robert Hainsey is a replacement level starter. I went back and watched some of the tape. He's an explosive athlete, and we'll dive more into it. He's an explosive athlete at the position. He has some high-level moments. He also has some inconsistencies. I think his overall foot quickness, his block sustainability, these kind of little iffy at times, right? Handling power in pass protection, little iffy at times. So I think the Jaguars could upgrade the interior of the offensive line as well. And I think that would come from the draft. And then the final need, CB2 or 3, I think that they believe in Jarian Jones. I don't know that. But I think they should. I think based on his rookie tape, he's somebody I think you should be able to get excited about. Based on his rookie tape, his college tape, his testing, his athletic ability, the demeanor he brings. Obviously, they like Jordan Lewis, but both of them really have spent most of their time inside. So one of those guys probably has to kick outside, but, I don't think Jordan Lewis at 29 years old is a long-term play. Even if he is a short-term, very solid player. So that's kind of how I'm viewing it. I don't think that much changed for the long-term outlook, and I think that's by design for the Jaguars in free agency so far. But I think they got guys that can be stopgap options for them. And so really it's not going to change a lot of my opinions for the draft unless they continue to make some moves and maybe get some higher level starters in free agency the rest of the way here. But really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.